Welcome to Module 1. In this module, we will cover chapters 1 and 2 from your textbook Nutrition Counseling and Education Skill Development. Chapter 1 is about preparing to meet your clients. At the end of this chapter, you will be able to define nutrition counseling and nutrition education. We will explore different factors affecting food choices. We will also describe characteristics of an effective nutrition counselor and nutrition educator. We will identify some factors influencing clients in a counseling relationship. We will also evaluate oneself for strengths and weaknesses in building a counseling relationship. And finally, we will identify novice counselor issues. So, as an introduction, nutrition counselors and nutrition educators, they both provide guidance to help clients develop food practices which meets their nutritional needs. They also provide guidance to change long-standing beliefs and attitudes about food, altering comfortable food patterns, increased nutrition knowledge affecting motivations, and also to guide the clients to develop necessary skills for dietary behavior change. The important point here is nutrition professionals, including nutrition counselors and nutrition educators, they need to have a solid understanding of the client's cultural contexts and their own cultural contexts. Otherwise, there will be no strong relationship between counselor and client. So, here is the definition of nutrition education. Any combination of education strategies accompanied by environmental supports designed to motivate and facilitate voluntary adoption of food choices and other food and nutrition related behaviors. It can include also uh, some lifestyle changes like physical activity or smoking cessation, conducive to health and well-being. So, the difference between nutrition education and nutrition counseling is the focus of the nutrition education process is to meet the needs of a target community, to meet the needs of a group of people. But the focus of nutrition counseling process is to meet the needs of individual clients. So whenever we do, let's say, cooking demonstration to a group of people, that is considered as nutrition education, not nutrition counseling, because we are conveying nutritional information to a group of people, to a community. So it is nutrition education. But nutrition counseling is between counselor and an individual client. Nutrition counseling has its own definition, which is a supportive process by building a relationship between counselor and client in order to establish some goals regarding food and nutrition or lifestyle related changes. The clients need to be acknowledged and they are responsible for self-care to treat an existing condition and promote health. The relationship between counselor and client, it's very important. It is an important guiding force for change. It determines the success or failure of a counseling session. Here is another definition for counseling, which is defined as an interaction in which the counselor focuses on client experience, feeling, thought, behavior with intentional responses to acknowledge, to explore, or to challenge. So in this definition, counseling is client-centered. It's not counselor-centered. The heart of nutrition education and nutrition counseling is providing support and guidance for individuals to make appropriate food choices for their needs. Food choice can be influenced by many factors, and these factors are intertwined and compete with each other. As a nutrition counselor, as a nutrition educator, we need to know these factors. So, the first factor affecting food behavior or food choice is sensory appeal. So, taste is the most significant determinant of food choices. And we evolve that taste preference from childhood based on availability and societal norms. For example, Indians, they prefer spicy food. They develop that taste uh, preference from their childhood because of the availability of spicy food and their societal norms. Taste preferences can also be modified, so uh it is not set for the whole life. We change our taste preferences throughout our lifetime by age and experiences, some illnesses, for example, chemotherapy, uh, they can change the taste preferences. But remember, it is the taste is the most significant determinant of food choices. Economics, like the cost and income, can also influence food choices. And cost of food, is cited as the second most important influence on food choice. So, socioeconomic status is very important. And in nutrition counseling sessions, we need to address it. Habit is also another fundamentals of food behavior. Um, Consumers who use cues such as time of day as a trigger to eat are more likely to seek healthful food choices compared to other people who eat whenever the food is available. So the habit is also very important. Some health concerns like the health status, uh, whether there is digestive disorders, whether there is illnesses, it can also affect the amount of food consumed and food choice. Nutrition knowledge is important. So those who have higher levels of knowledge are more likely to have better quality diets and to lose more weight in weight loss programs compared to people who have lower levels of knowledge. Convenience and time. Fast food culture has created a demand for easy to prepare and tasty food. Takeout, value added, and ready-made foods have become a cultural standard. Frequently more expensive and can be higher in calories, fat, and sodium. So these are not optimal food choices for clients. Culture and religion also is an integral part of societal rituals, influencing group identity. We have ritual meals, social influences. So, sharing a meal with friends after a football game. Social eating often led to overconsumption of foods and less nutritious foods. So most people prefer some high calorie food after a football game. They do not go out and eat salad, for example. They they want to eat some fries, some high calorie food items. Social media is very important. In 2023, Facebook was cited as the most popular social media platform for food and nutrition content. Social media is important among younger generations. Media and food environment, we have so many food advertisements. They persuade consumers to buy their products. And we have nudging counteracts negative influences. There is a term called choice architecture, and I will define it here for you. So media and food environment, it's very important. High calorie foods are consumed more in low income areas. You know, if you visit some rural areas, you would see um, some convenient stores rather than local grocery stores. So, and those convenience stores offer high calorie foods rather than fruits and vegetables or fresh fruits and fresh vegetables. Digital advertising has more effects on the quality and quantity of food consumed. Nudging is a tool nutritionists use to counteract negative influences of media and food environment, and it is called choice architecture. So, the term choice architecture refers to manipulation of small yet relevant behavioral stimuli. So, nudging consists of manipulation of small yet relevant behavioral stimuli that can favorably influence food choices without taking away their ability to choose. So this is referred to as choice architecture. Availability and variety. Increased numbers of food encounters, larger portion sizes, and a greater variety of choices tend to increase food intake. For example, in buffet restaurants, we most of the time we tend to eat more in buffet restaurants because of the higher numbers of food choices we have there, because of the higher varieties of choices. A variety of food intake is important in meeting nutritional needs, of course. We need to eat different food items from different food groups in order to meet our nutritional needs. So, variety of food intake is not always a bad thing. We have to have some variety in order to meet nutritional needs. But remember, sometimes those kinds of restaurants they offer different varieties and larger portion sizes. And that comes with high calorie intake. A dinner plate containing broccoli, carrots, and snap peas increases the vegetable intakes. So when this assortment is excessive, making food selections from a buffet overconsumption is probable. Climate, climate consciousness. This is important among young adults. So environmental concerns impact the food choices of many people in the US. So they try to purchase some sustainable food items in order to help their environment, their climate. Food behavior in response to stress varies among people. Some people, when they feel stressed, depressed, or they have some mood alterations, they tend to eat more. But it's not always the same. It doesn't have the same effect on every people. Some people, when they are depressed or stressed, they lose their appetite. So food behavior in response to stress varies among people. And certain foods are associated with stress, depression, and mood alteration. This is a very important point. Lower quality nutrition can lead to increase the risk of and severity of depression symptoms. Depressed people eat less fruits and vegetables and consume higher amounts of chocolate. This is from study, and that's really interesting. So here are the characteristics of effective nutrition counselors. They have a solid foundation of knowledge. They are self-aware, aware of their own beliefs, values. They have ethical integrity. Their verbal and non-verbal behaviors are inconsistent with each other. There's harmony there. They are honest and genuine. They can communicate clearly, and they are aware of the cultural differences, the gender identity. They have a respect for a diversity of values. They have a sense of humor, prevent clients from taking themselves and their problems too seriously. They are flexible, they are optimistic and hopeful. They respect, value, care, and trust others. They can accurately understand what people feel from their clients' frame of reference. They have empathy. So think about your own personality and culture, which characteristics you need to work on to improve. And here's a social skill test from your textbook. So you can click on the link here and it will take you to a test page. And after completing the test, it will evaluate your social skills. Our personalities as nutrition counselor and nutrition educator is one of the principal tools for helping process. This is a bad practice. Sometimes counselors seek to fulfill their own needs through the counseling relationship, and that has negative effects on clients. To become a culturally competent counselor, understand what constitutes one's worldview or cultural outlook. So one's worldview provides basic assumptions about the nature of reality and has both conscious and unconscious influences. This is very important to define culture here. So culture is shared history consisting of the thoughts, communication, actions, costumes, customs, beliefs, values, norms, and institutions of racial, ethnic, religious, or societal groups. Each individual will belong to several societal groups that can shape their worldview, that can shape their cultural outlook. And as a nutrition counselor and educator, we need to be aware of those differences. So I would like you to review this table very carefully because this is part of your discussion board. We need to understand our client. Just like us, clients have unique personalities, cultural orientations, health issues, problems. Each client's personality should be recognized and appreciated. They are coming from diverse groups. They belong to a number of societal groups. They have unique life experiences. So we need to be aware of that in order to create a healthy relationship with clients. And we can explore our clients' culture through books, websites, movies, fairs, workshops, restaurants, newspapers, and other cultural encounters. We should avoid stereotyping. The circumstances that bring clients to counseling can have a major impact on their readiness for nutrition counseling. For example, illness, denial, anxiety, anger, or depression, rebelliousness. These can also um, have a major impact on the readiness level of clients. Some clients may regard the counseling process itself as an issue. The act of seeking and receiving help can create feelings of vulnerability and incompetence. Counselors should clarify motive for and nature of help with client in order to prevent these kinds of feelings. There are two phases of counseling relationship. First phase is building a relationship. The second phase is facilitating positive action. So in order to building a relationship, we need to develop some types of, you know, relationship rapport, ability to show empathy. We need to form, uh, we need to have a formation of trusting relationship. And the focus of the second phase of the counseling process is to help clients identify specific behaviors to alter. Non-judgmental feedback was an important component of the successful DASH trial. So this is from a study. DASH trial. DASH is the dietary approach. It stands for dietary approach to stop hypertension. So in that study, the researchers found that non-judgmental feedback was an important component of the successful DASH trial. Please do exercise 1.11 on your own. Novice counselor issues. New counselors typically have concerns about their competency. Remember, in order to prevent from becoming a novice counselor, you need to practice. So practice is the key here. Practice, practice, and practice. With practice, practice will bring more experience, and more experience will bring confidence. So novice counselors, they are reluctant to handle controversial nutrition issues. They provide some partial answers to clients' questions. They ignore critical questions. So whenever a client asks you a question about nutrition and you don't know the answer, you need to be honest with clients. You can say, I do not know the correct answer now, but I will explore more and I will share it with you in our next session, for instance. So being honest and not giving partial answers, not ignoring their questions. But remember, these problems, you can overcome these problems with practice, with more experience. Novice counselors sometimes they assume the role of expert or uh, empathizers. Combining the two roles can contribute to an effective intervention, but a single approach is likely to hamper progress. With experience and determination, the two roles can be effectively combined. Chapter 2 is about frameworks for understanding and attaining behavior change. So, in this chapter, we will explore some behavior change models and theories, describe and apply major concepts of selected behavior change theories and models, and we will dive deeper into those models. So, previously, nutrition professionals they overlooked fundamental uh, factors affecting food behavior. So they were just giving simply facts and diet plans to clients, but the results were not significant. So later, they turned to established psychotherapy counseling approaches. They tend to use more uh, like models and theories in order to develop nutrition plan or diet behavior change. More recently, trans theoretical model and motivational interviewing MI have provided guides for instituting behavior change in the health arena. And remember, there are different models, there are different theories, but some of the concepts among these behavior change theories overlap. So today there is an array of counseling theories, behavior change models, and counseling approaches in order to deal with the complex process of changing health behaviors. So the major theories are health belief model, HBM. TTM is the trans theoretical model, and theory of planned behavior, TPB. So these theories primarily focus on like different factors, such as knowledge, attitudes, beliefs, and prior experiences. That's the main focus of these theories. We have social cognitive theory. This doesn't look solely at individual traits. So, health belief model, TTM, and theory of planned behavior, they look at individual traits. But social cognitive theory, it doesn't look solely at individual traits for understanding behavior. It incorporates a person's relationship with social groups and the environment. So in health belief model, TTM, and TBP, our focus is on individuals' belief, their knowledge, their experiences, their attitudes. We do not, uh, focus on the client's environment, the social group, their worldwide, you know, their worldview, cultural outlook, and etc. And the counseling approaches are there to assist clients with making health behavior changes. Client-centered counseling provides guidance for establishing an effective counseling relationship. We have cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and motivational interviewing, MI, as counseling approaches. MI, motivation interviewing, it's more useful for clients who are in the early stages of behavior change. Self-efficacy is a shared construct of several theories and models. Sometimes uh, self-efficacy is considered a separate model or theory, but if you read more about theories and different models, you would see self-efficacy as part of their construct and concepts. So self-efficacy is defined as the confidence to perform a specific behavior, such as a belief in the ability to change food patterns. That's self-efficacy. Clients need to believe that there are workable options that make change possible. And that's our responsibility to make that to make the behavior change workable option for clients. If clients perceive there is no solution to their problems, to their issues, their discomfort may shift to defensive thinking, like denial, not really so bad, rationalization, didn't want to anyway, and projection, not my problem, but theirs. So we need to avoid this type of discomfort. The counselor's responsibility is to give clients hope by increasing awareness of options and assisting in setting achievable goals. So this is part of the counselor's uh, like effective characteristics. And self-efficacy can be strengthened by active learning, pointing out strengths, relating success stories, expressing optimism for the future. The health belief model proposes that cognitive factors influence an individual's decision to make and maintain a specific health behavior change. And health belief model has different constructs and concepts. So this is health belief model. Using the health belief model, a nutrition intervention in a community congregate food program was able to successfully. So this is an example. Increased consumption of whole grains, improved knowledge regarding whole grains, strengthen the belief that intake of whole grain foods would reduce risk of disease. You can do exercise 2.1 regarding health belief model. Let's do this. Let's answer this question together. A person decides to start eating more whole grains to improve gut health, although unfamiliar with how to cook them. The person feels confident in their ability to learn through online tutorials and recipes, which health belief model construct does this scenario best represent? Is it perceived susceptibility, cues to action, perceived barriers, or self-efficacy? So here it mentions the client or the person feels confident in their ability. So it is self-efficacy. The next model is trans-theoretical model, and this is our model. It has different stages from pre-contemplation to contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance and termination. So it is called trans-theoretical because it crosses over many psychotherapy and counseling theories. It is used as a guide for explaining how behavior change occurs, supplying effective intervention designs and strategies, and evaluating dietary change interventions. The core constructs of this model are stages of change, processes of change, decisional balance, and self-efficacy. As you can see, self-efficacy is a construct of this model. And here is the a sequence of distinct motivation stages. So pre-contemplation stage, there is no intention of changing within the next 6 months. And clients resist any efforts to modify the problem behavior. And they have some reasons. No awareness that a problem exists, denial of a problem, blaming others for the problem, and etc. That's pre-contemplation stage. In the contemplation stage, they recognize a need to change but are in a state of ambivalence, altering between reasons to change and reasons not to change. And people can be stuck in this stage for years. They may say they intend to change their undesired behavior in the next 6 months. In the preparation stage, preparers have identified a strong motivator, believe the advantages outweigh the disadvantages of changing, would be willing to problem solve, explore goals, and take some practical steps, are committed to take action within the next 30 days. For example, making an appointment with a nutrition counselor or inquiring about a walking club indicates the preparation stage. The action, if they have altered the target behavior to an acceptable degree for 1 day or up to 6 months. The maintenance, the client has been engaging in the new behavior for over 6 months. That's the maintenance stage. The new behavior has become a habit. The client is confident that the behavior will persist and they need to work actively to modify the environment to maintain the change behavior. Determination, in the termination stage, clients are not tempted to relapse and are 100% confident that the behavior will continue. This is the ultimate goal for many nutrition and exercise behaviors. Remember, relapse temptations are so strong and prevalent. Relapses are a normal occurrence in the change process. As nutrition counselor and nutrition educators, we cannot blame the clients for relapses. Relapses are normal. They are strong and prevalent. So TTM, Trans Theoretical Model, serves as a guide to identify potentially effective messages and intervention strategies. The treatment intervention needs to be tailored to client's stage of change. So in general, cognitive or thinking related and affective feeling related strategies are more effective in the early stages. Whenever the client is in the pre-contemplation or contemplation stage, cognitive and affective strategies are more effective. Behavioral strategies in the latter stages are more likely to meet client needs. So in the cognitive and affective experiential consciousness raising, so we can increase awareness of the causes, consequences, and available treatments regarding a problem. So we can provide these awareness to clients in the pre-contemplation or contemplation stage. We can have personal testimonials, media campaigns and stories, and role playing. It can move people emotionally. Environmental reevaluation, a harmful eating practice. For example, we can give an example to a client that a harmful eating practice has a bad effect on child. And self-evaluation, create a new self-image and social uh, liberation, awareness of social support or advocacy for healthy opportunities encourages adopting a new behavior. So social support can include salad bars, calorie data on menus, or neighborhood walking path. These can uh, kind of work toward motivating clients to think about their problems, their undesired behaviors. So in the self liberation, New Year's resolutions, public testimonials, writing a plan, starting a blog, using social media, they can increase commitment to change. We can also use some substitutes, replace unhealthy behavior with healthier alternatives, helping relationships like to getting support from other people, and use rewards like rewards from self or others, group recognition, and positive self-talk. Decisional balance is the third construct of TTM. So it is part of the decision to move from stage to stage. The part of the decision to move from stage to stage is based on a client's view of the pros and cons of making a behavior change. So pros are like an individual's belief about the anticipated benefits of changing, and the cons are the costs of behavior change. So in the pre-contemplation stage, cons outweigh pros. So that's why clients are not intended. They do not intend to have a behavior change. In the contemplation stage, pros and cons tend to balance each other. So they are in the ambivalence stage. They have reasons to continue their current food behavior, and they have reasons not to continue the current food behavior. So they are in the ambivalence stage. From preparation through maintenance, the pros increase and the cons decrease. Self-efficacy tends to decrease between the pre-contemplation and contemplation stages. And individuals in the contemplation stage may begin to realize the challenges of adopting a new behavior, which may be seen as daunting. And later, from uh, preparation stage to maintenance stage, self-efficacy gradually increases. So the TTM has been used by researchers to design dietary behavior investigations and outcomes of interventions. By tracking movement through various stages, the TTM has given nutrition counselors a tool for measuring outcomes. And this is an example of using TTM among people with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Theory of planned behavior. Based on theory of planned behavior, an individual's health behavior is directly influenced by individuals engaging that behavior. So an individual's health behavior is affected by intention to engage in that behavior. This model, this theory can be used to predict and explain behavior and to design behavior change interventions. There are three constructs regarding this theory: attitude, subjective norm, and perceived behavioral control. So attitudes are favorable or unfavorable evaluations about a given behavior. These attitudes are influenced by our beliefs about the outcomes of our actions and how important these outcomes are to the client. Subjective norm or perceived social pressure. It reflects beliefs about whether significant others approve or disapprove of the behavior. So it can be determined by two factors. Subjective norm or perceived social pressure can be determined by two factors: normative beliefs, which is the strengths of our beliefs, and the motivation to comply. It is the strengths of our desire to comply with the opinion of significant others. And the last construct of the theory of planned behavior is perceived behavioral control. This is an overall measure of an individual's perceived control over the behavior. Control beliefs are influenced by presence or absence of resources, supporting or impeding behavioral performance. For example, family members can be a supportive resource. Physical environmental factors, social environmental factors can be barriers. Control factors can be internal factors or external factors. And internal factors are skills and abilities, and external factors are social or physical environmental factors like family members. So here is an application of the theory of planned behavior. Social cognitive theory. So remember those first three theories and models, they primarily focus on individuals' traits. they focus on individuals' beliefs, their values, their experiences. Social cognitive theory, it has environmental influences, not just it focuses on individuals' traits, but it also focuses on environmental factors, which affects behavior. So, in this theory, there is a dynamic interaction of personal factors, behavior, and environmental factors, with a change in one capable of influencing the others. As we can see from the figure, there is a dynamic interaction among these three constructs: behavior, personal factors, and environmental factors. Social cognitive theory has become the most widely used theory for designing nutrition education and health promotion programs. I would like you to read this table very carefully. The concepts of social cognitive theory, the definition for that concept, and implications for interventions. And here is an application of social cognitive theory. What concept of social cognitive theory is defined as the responses to a person's behavior that increase the likelihood of its recurrence? So, to answer that, we need to go back to this table, and it is reinforcement. Reinforcement is defined as responses to a person's behavior that increase the likelihood of its recurrence. Cognitive behavioral therapy. This is part of counseling approaches. This is not considered a model or theory. This is a counseling approach. So it incorporates components of cognitive therapies and behavior therapy and includes a wide range of treatment approaches. They are action oriented and work best when people are ready to make a change. So cognitive behavioral therapy is good for people who decided to do a change, to make a change. There is another counseling approach. It's called motivational interviewing, which is useful for clients who are in the early stage of behavior change. It is based on some assumptions, and assumptions are all human behaviors are learned and are directly related to internal factors and external factors. And the CBT techniques target those factors. The clients in this counseling approach, clients are taught that negative self-talk about themselves and irrational ideas are self-defeating learned behaviors. Harmful self-talk need to be identified, eliminated, and replaced with productive self-talk. By influencing a person's pattern of thinking, the person's feelings and actions are modified. This is the heart of cognitive behavioral therapy. So we call it cognitive because it is thinking related. So cognitive behavioral therapy states that influencing a person's pattern of thinking can modify the person's feelings and actions. And by changing the pattern of thinking, we can make a behavior change in person. So the techniques in this approach are there to improve positive feelings, help problem solving ability, and create an environment that encourages behavior change. It includes goal setting, self monitoring, mental imagery, stress management, social support, and etc. So here's an example. CBT strategies were used in a 12-week study to help 79 subjects who had metabolic syndrome to follow a Mediterranean diet. So the CBT strategies included anger management, problem solving, stimulus control, impulsivity control, cognitive structuring, stress management, and social support. And they compare the CBT strategies between control group and intervention group in order to decrease waist circumference, improve triglyceride levels, and adhere to moderation to Mediterranean diet. Client-centered counseling. The founder of client-centered counseling was Carl Rogers. Client-centered counseling is also referred to as non-directive or person-centered. So the assumption of client-centered counseling is humans are basically rational, socialized, and realistic, and that there is an inherent tendency to strive toward growth. So counselors help by totally accepting clients without passing judgments on their thoughts, behavior, or physical and actively listening to a client's story. So actively listening is part of client-centered counseling. In client-centered counseling, that is the client who speaks most of the time. And counselor is a good listener to client's story. Total acceptance needs to be communicated both verbally and non-verbally for developing trust. Motivational interviewing is another counseling approach. Motivational interviewing, as I said, it is best and it is most useful for clients who are in the early stages of behavior change. Motivational interviewing is defined as a collaborative, goal-oriented counseling approach that integrates client-centered counseling, emphasizing creating an atmosphere of acceptance and compassion and complements the TTM. Motivation is viewed as a state of readiness to change that can be altered and influenced by others. So, in motivational interviewing, we focus on motivate clients to change and move toward the action stage. And it is useful in the early stages of behavior change when there is a great deal of ambivalence about making a decision to change. Motivation interviewing works to cultivate a client's natural motivation for change. And motivation can come from coerced external forces or they can be intrinsic due to specific values. So a counselor, a nutrition counselor, can support a number of these motivational factors like self-efficacy, knowledge of consequences, a perception that a course of action has been chosen freely, self-analysis, social support, feelings accepted. Open-ended questions, affirmations, reflective listening, and summarizing are the basic interaction techniques used in the MI approach to change behavior. There are four general principles. Resist the writing reflex. It's the urge to confront the client about the need for behavior change. Understand the patient's own motivations. Listen with empathy and empower the clients. And these are general motivation interviewing counseling strategies. Evoking change talk. The purpose of change talk is to resolve ambivalence by providing opportunities and encouragement for the client, rather than the counselor to make arguments for change. In change talk, counselors guide the counseling sessions to allow clients to explore perceptions and they see a discrepancy regarding their current behavior. When exploring ambivalence, client responses usually fall into two categories: change talk or sustain talk. Early stages of change talk often fall into the category of preparatory desire, ability, reasons, and need. And mobilizing change talk statements clearly expresses or implies action to change behavior, commitment, activation, and taking steps. The type and amount of change talk a client engages in predicts whether a client will actually make the behavior change. And these are the categories of change talk. Sustained talk is about talking ourselves into continuing the current behavior. In this situation, the behavior change is unlikely to occur. It happens, sustained talk happens when a client expresses a desire, ability, reason, or need to keep performing the undesirable behavior. Whenever the comments of clients are mixed with change talk statement, the fact that the client is ambivalent will be clear. So there are some examples here for evoking change talk. For example, we can ask this question: what are you hoping our work together will accomplish? We can ask evocative questions. We can evaluate importance and confidence. We can use some types of card sort. We can have a change roles with clients. And typical day strategy by asking clients to take about 5 to 10 minutes to describe a typical day and explain how their health issue and their food needs are affecting their life. So we can combine motivational interviewing with other behavior change approaches. And a counselor may see a need to come back to an motivational interviewing approach as a client begins to expand dietary changes. MI has been found to be effective in the treatment of a broad range of behavioral problems and issues related to disease management. Healthcare practitioners, they are involved in brief interventions. Most of the time, they don't have enough time to work with clients. So in that case, using small components of MI can be useful when time is limited. So here is a summary of behavior change models and theories. Health behavior change models, theories and approaches. They provide a picture of what predisposes individuals toward making successful health behavior changes. As nutrition counselors and educators, we must use our professional judgment regarding selection of an intervention. We can also merge some models and theories.